Okay, so we're going to start on the mat in a comfortable seated position. And you can take a moment to close your eyes, let the shoulders drop down away from your ears, feel your sit bones pushing into the floor, and then feel your abdominals lifting in and up to support your spine, so you feel almost effortlessly stacked one vertebra on top of the other. And really connecting with your breath, feeling your breath going into the sides of the body, and maybe as you hear the sound of your breath and as you feel the breath moving through your body, feeling like you're just kind of washing away anything that you don't need for the next 60 minutes. We'll start to sweep the hands around the sides, up towards the sky, towards the ceiling, draw the palms together, and then down towards the center of the chest. Taking a moment to set a purposeful intention for your class, something to help keep you focused throughout, something to go through maybe in moments of stillness when your mind starts to waver. And then release your hands down, walking them out in front of you, and start to walk them forward and fold forward and down, releasing the weight of your upper body onto your legs, finding a stretch through your back. And slowly walking your hands over to your left side, trying to keep both of your sit bones grounded, stacking your right hand on top of the left. And really breathing into the right side of the body, the right lat. And starting to walk your hands through the center and over to the left side, to the right side, stacking your left hand on top of your right and breathing into the left side of the body, feeling like your sit bone is anchored down towards the floor and you're reaching out through the left arm. And it's okay if you feel like you can't reach very far right here, or maybe if you feel stuck through the upper back. You just want to breathe into wherever you're feeling tense and tight and not feel like you're pushing or forcing any area to move and open. Because if you think about it, a lot of these areas that are tight, they're already experience a lot of stress because they're not able to move with ease. So you don't want to push on them even more and increase the stress in the body. You want to slow down the breath and feel like you're surrendering into whatever space you can. Let's walk back through center. Walking the hands in slowly to stack the spine back up nice and tall. If you're sitting with your legs crossed, let's switch the direction of the cross, crossing the legs the other way. And moving a little bit more into the side body. So keeping your left hand down, think up and over, push down to reach your right arm up and find a side bend here. And then we're going to move with our breath. So as you exhale, rotate down, tap your hand down. And then as you inhale, slowly spiral, open, turn, look up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, rotate down. And then inhale, turn, look up. One more time, exhale, rotate down. And then inhale, turn, look up. We'll lift ourselves back up to center. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches up and over. And take a couple of breaths here. And then on your exhale, turn down, maybe tap the hand down. And then as you inhale, rotate up, looking underneath the arm. And exhale, turn, reach down. And then inhale, rotate, look up. One more time. Look towards the ground, tap the hand. Inhale, rotate up. And then push the floor away, lifting yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. We'll inhale, reach both around, really spread out through the fingers, interlace the fingers. Flip your palms, so the palms are facing up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. Try and reach out through your elbows as best you can, and feel your shoulders shrug up by your ears. And then reach over to one side, and through center and up and over to the other side. And every time you reach through the middle, feel like you're growing a little bit taller. Press down, lift up, and then bend, breathing into the side of the ribs. Press down, lift up. And then other side. Let's come up through the center, hold here, press long. Then as you exhale, chin to chest, push your hands out and away from you. And then press down, lift up. Little baby back bend here, looking up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, forward. Inhale, lift up. One more time, exhale. And then inhale, lift. And release your hands down. Try and keep the fingers open and just get in a really exaggerated wrist turning here. Good. We'll anchor our hands down and just let your head drop from one side, trying to keep your shoulders down and open. And take a nice deep breath here. And then let's drop the chin to the chest, making sure you're not rounding through your upper back, but you're really just bending at your neck. And then take the opposite ear to the shoulder. And really breathe deeply here. And so all of these muscles up here in our neck, they should be relaxed when we're breathing, but for most of us, we have a really shallow breath and it starts to get up into our neck more so than into the belly. So just by taking a couple of deep breaths when you're stressed, you can help relieve some tension in the neck. We'll draw the chin down towards the chest and then inhale to stack the head back up nice and tall. Okay. So let's extend our legs out to the sides here. So we're going to reach them out nice and long, and it doesn't have to be very wide. It can be more V-shaped. And you can keep a slight bend through your knees if you're a little bit tighter through your hamstrings or through your low back. And what we're going to do, you can have your hands on your knees. We're just going to make a circle here. So you're leaning forward a little bit and then leaning back and around. And you should feel like you're loosening up through the inner thighs, the outside of the hips, the low back, and then start to take your circle in the other direction. And then one more circle in this direction. And then let's come back up to center. We're all going to bend our knees here, and I'm gonna, if your legs are really wide, just make them so they're about shoulder width, a little bit wider, and take your hands kind of behind you so you're leaning back. Drop your knees to one side and really let them fall heavy towards the ground. You might feel a stretch through the inside of the leg, the outside of the hip. And then push down, draw them through center, and let them drop over to the other side. Good. And we'll come up through center, going back to your first side. And you can stay here, leaning back. This is going to be the least intense variation of the stretch. Or if you feel like there's more room, you can start to reach forward and kind of walk yourself over to kind of whatever angle feels good. Some people like going directly to the side. Some people like going to a diagonal. And if you're not feeling this, check and make sure that your knees are at 90 degrees. So each leg is coming straight out from the hip, one straight forward, one straight to the side. And this is a really good one if you spend a lot of time sitting. I know I've been sitting way more than normal because we're getting external rotation through this front leg and internal rotation through the back leg. And slowly walk your hands back in and up and start to walk them behind you. Draw your knees up through the center and then over to the side. So you can hang out back here and just enjoy a more relaxing stretch, or if you want to be a little bit more intense, you can start to walk it forward and fold over the leg. And you want to make sure anytime you're holding a position, it might be a little bit uncomfortable, especially as we hold it for a little bit longer, but you shouldn't feel any sharp pinching or pain, or if you feel any numbness or tingling, that's just a sign to come out of the pose and maybe readjust and come back. And it's normal for one side of the body to be a little bit different than the other side. We'll slowly walk our hands back in and behind us. Draw the knees to center. You can walk the feet in, and if you're facing the long edge of your mat, we're gonna turn and sweep our legs around and behind us, coming into an all fours position here. So you have your wrists under your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and then press the ground away, chin in towards the chest, and as you inhale, arch through the back, look up. Good. So finding your own pace of movement. And then let's find the center here. So it's important, even though we're mostly focusing on stretching today, you still want to feel your abdominals engaged, because it actually can inhibit your stretching if like your core and your trunk muscles aren't properly supporting your body, because then the muscles in your limbs don't really feel like safe, I guess is a way to say it. So we'll take our right leg, reach it out behind us, feel your abdominals lift in and up, and then you want to push back through your heel and then push forward, really stretching through the bottom of the foot. And also watch that your heel isn't dropping too much to one side or the other. You want it to stay towards the midline as best you can. And then we'll stack the shoulders over the wrists. We'll lift the leg up, maybe make some circles with the ankles, or with the ankle, wiggle the toes, and circle in the other direction. And then let's take the right leg over to the left side of the body. Look over your left shoulder, and then push the heel out and really breathe into the right side of the body. So feel the right ribs moving out to the right. Feel some length. And then let's come back to center here. We'll take a moment in child's pose. Set your hips back over your heels. Reach your arms out long in front of you. And then let your forehead reach down towards the mat. And just noticing where the resistance is through the back side of the body. So for some people, your hips might be lifted, and because you might be tight in your low back, it might help to walk the knees out wider if that's you. For some people, it might be tight through the shoulders. So you really want to walk your hands forward and find some length there. On an inhale, push the ground away, come back to your all fours position, going to the left side. So really spread the fingers out nice and wide, take your left leg out behind you, engage through the abdominals, and then press your heel back, and then push forward. And again, making sure that the ankle isn't moving from side to side. And then stacking the shoulders over the wrists, we'll lift the leg up just to hip height and then start to circle through your ankle, maybe adding some wiggling of the toes as well. And then changing the direction of your circles. And we'll reach out through the foot, taking your left leg over to the right side, looking over your right shoulder, pressing out through the heel, and breathing deeply into the left side of the body. Good. And we'll come back to the center here. Okay, we're going to come onto the forearms. Your palms can be down. You can have the palms pressing into each other, whatever is more comfortable for your shoulders. We're going to reach one leg back and then the other, coming into a forearm plank and just kind of pushing through the feet here. So thinking about stretching through the feet more so than about this being like a really intense strength exercise. Good. And then we'll set the knees down, walk them in a little bit closer. We're going to press down into the palms, tuck the toes under, and lift the hips up, coming into a dolphin pose, trying to open up through the shoulders. And so you're like, I don't feel like this is opening up. I feel like my shoulders are working really hard. That's part of it. A lot of times it's more helpful to engage a muscle first and then try to open it. Because most of the time when our muscles are tight, they're weak, but also tight. Good. And then we'll set our knees down, sit back into a child's pose, reach your arms forward. Maybe even if you want to, you can take your hands around and grab onto your heels. On an inhale, we'll lift up through all fours. Tuck your toes under, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog, and just bend into your knees, shift your hips from side to side. Try and make this a really gentle down dog, thinking more about lengthening through your spine than you're worried about your heels touching the ground or finding the perfect alignment. Just think about lengthening the hips up towards the ceiling. And then let's look forward between the hands, and we'll slowly walk the feet forward to meet the hands at the top of the mat. And really generously bend through your knees here, even if you feel like you don't need to. We're going to inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. And then exhale, come forward, round through your back. Think nose towards knees. And then inhale, push away, halfway lift. So we're doing like a standing variation of cat and cow. And then exhale, round, nose to knees. You can kind of pull onto your legs. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, round. And then this time as we inhale, lengthen, let's lift all the way up nice and tall. Palms touch overhead. And draw down to to the center of the chest. Firmly rooting into the feet, feeling that energy draw up to the midline, shoulders draw down the back. We'll inhale, reach the hands around and up. You can interlace your fingers overhead and point out through the index fingers. Pushing down into the feet, lift up and over to your right side. And then inhale, lift up through center, push, push. And then over to the left side. And then up through center, look up, lengthen, and then you can bend through your knees, but keep lengthening out through your spine as you fold forward and down. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold and deepen, really pull in. And then let's walk the hands down to the mat. So you can bend your knees if you need to. I'm going to step one leg back and then the other, holding into a plank here. So it can be a modified plank with the knees on the ground, or it can be a full plank. You shouldn't feel like you're exerting a lot of effort here. It should be like a minimal amount of effort. And then we're going to slowly lower down towards the mat. So you can bend your elbows, your knees can be on the mat. And we'll lower all the way down until your belly is onto the ground. Okay, we're going to reach our hands behind us. Your feet can come a little bit wider than your hips and they can turn out slightly. Your palms can be facing up towards the ceiling. On an inhale, reach your hands back. Keep your feet grounded. Look up. And then as you exhale, lower down. Think about lengthening out through the feet. Inhale, lift. Keep your abdominals pulling in so the low back is not overly engaged. We'll do two more. Inhale, lift up, look forward. Exhale, lower. Last time, reach out through your toes, lengthen through the low back, pull your shoulder blades down your back, lift with the upper back, and then lower down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. You can walk your legs a little bit closer together. We're going to lift ourselves up and then back either into your downward facing dog or into your child's pose. So you want to find what feels like an active resting pose for you. So in both positions, your body is still opening. There's still places to breathe into, to lengthen through the body. On an inhale, looking up between your thumbs. So if you're in child's pose, we'll meet in down dog, and then we'll walk our feet to our hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, we'll lift up all the way nice and tall. Hands reach up and draw down to the center of the chest. Inhale, sweep the hands around and up, look up, little back bend, lengthen out, and then fold forward and down, reaching the arms long, pushing into the floor. We'll inhale to halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale to fold forward. This time stepping your left leg back behind you. So the right leg is forward, left leg is back. So if you want an extra stretch through the back of your foot, you can keep the toes tucked under. You can keep them flat. That's really up to you, personal preference. And we're going to lift up here. You can have your hand on the leg for stability or start to reach one or both arms up. Feel like you're pushing into the floor to help grow taller through the spine. Good. We'll take our right hand on top of the right leg and then reach up and over to the side, and you should feel this go all the way down the front of the leg. If you don't, either move a little bit forward or move a little bit back to feel it in your hip flexors. And then we're going to reach the left hand down and over and reach the right arm up. And then push down, use your abdominals to lift up one more time, bending over to your right. And if you wanted to, you could reach this hand down to the ground. And then inhale up and over over, left hand reaches for the floor, maybe it touches, and then let your right arm reach up and overhead. Inhale to lift back up. Whew. One hand on either side of the foot. Tuck your back toes under if they aren't already. Lift up. Press back into your plank position. You can lower your knees down or keep them lifted. Exhale, lower your belly all the way down to the mat. Your feet can come a little bit wider again, so you can feel the front of the hip bones pressing into the floor. Roll the shoulders down the back, and we're going to come into just a baby cobra a few times. So your bottom ribs should be on the ground in a baby cobra, and then lower. Reach out through your toes, pull the shoulder blades down the back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Last time in our baby cobra, reach out, lift up, and if you want to, you can push down through the hands and lift up into an extended cobra so your hips stay on the ground and you're not dumping your weight into your low back. You're thinking lift up and out so you're engaged through your glutes slightly. Shoulders pulling down the back. And then bend through the elbows, slowly lower down with control. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Push the ground away, lifting up through your modified plank. And then meeting in either downward facing dog or child's pose. Finding your breath here, pushing the floor away. On an inhale, take the right leg up towards the ceiling. Find a three-legged dog. Bend the knee in towards the nose, step the foot between the hands. We'll lower the back knee down, and this time we're going to work on our hamstring flexibility. So you can start to walk your hands back, and you might need to, depending on the length of your legs, walk your leg back so your hip is over your knee. We're going to flex through this foot. So if you need to, you can have the fingertips on the floor, or maybe your hand is on your leg. It's more challenging to balance. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, and then exhale, fold forward to whatever level you're comfortable with. And you can point and flex through the foot. Sometimes I feel like a little bit of motion helps. And then focusing on deepening your breath. Good. Okay, now we're going to walk it up a little bit. And before we were kind of trying to fold forward with a flat back, mostly now I want you to purposefully round through your spine. So think of arching through your upper back as best you can. Pull the navel in, push the floor away. So really exaggerated cat position. And then point and flex through your foot. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to like floss the sciatic nerve. So we're holding our back like in this really flexed position, trying to stretch out through our spine. And then we're just moving through our leg. So we're stretching kind of from the anchoring point all the way out. Let's flex the foot and turn the leg out to the side and then into the center. And you probably don't have to turn it, like when you turn it in, that's when you should really feel it all throughout the side of your leg. If you don't, try and round through your back a little bit more. One more time, turn it in, turn it out, and then bend into the knee. Walk your hands forward on the inside of the leg for a lizard. So we have our hands here, the inside. You can walk down to your forearms if that is an appropriate place for you to go. And really think about lengthening out through the head. So many times we just let our head drop. So really push into the floor with either the hands or the forearms and breathe. Now we have the option to add a little twist here. You can do it from your forearm. There's just it's just a little bit more intense. So your your left hand is going to stay grounded. You're going to reach your right hand around, so you're twisting towards your leg. You can stay here. You can bend into your back knee, trying to reach for the foot. And it can be done from your forearm. It's just your shoulder is further away from your foot, so it requires a little bit more quadricep flexibility. And trying to breathe into this, and even if your hand and your foot don't touch, you can still reach. You don't want to be on the top of your kneecap. You want to be a little bit above it and forward. One more deep breath. And then slowly release the leg. One hand on either side of the foot. We're going to be stepping forward. Tuck the back toes. Step to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Bend into the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward and down. And then inhale, reach all the way up nice and tall. Palms touch and then draw to the center of the chest. Maybe even closing your eyes, just feeling how the two sides of the body might feel a little bit different. I can really feel how on my one leg, the front of the body is really open. On your inhale, reach your hands around and up. We're going to be interlacing, and you can clasp out through the pointer fingers or point out through the pointer fingers. Bending over to one side. And then inhale up through the center and then over to the other side. And then reach up tall through the center. Feel more space between each vertebra. And then fold forward and down, trying to keep that length through the spine. You can bend through the knees. We'll inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Okay, now your right leg reaches back behind you. So have left leg forward, right leg back. You can lower your knee down. Toes can be tucked under or not. That's up to you. Start to walk your hand up your leg. And you can stay right here if you're having balance issues like I just was. Or you can start to reach both of the hands up. Let's take the left hand down, top of the leg, reach your right arm up and over. And so we're going to start slow with this one and then build up to what we remember doing on the other side. On your inhale, push the ground away, reach your right hand down and then over. So maybe the right hand touches the ground, maybe it doesn't. Left arm reaches overhead. And then inhale up through center. Left hand can go on top of the leg or maybe reach down towards the floor. Inhale up through center, reaching over to the right. And then one more time to each side. Inhale, push the ground away, lift up. Inhale up through center, over to your right. Good. And then we'll reach up nice and tall. Bring one hand on either side of the foot. Step your foot back into your plank position. And you can be in a modified plank. Deep breath. And then slowly lower all the way down to the mat here. Reaching your toes out long. We're going to let the legs separate again. We're going to reach our arms out to the side. If you don't have space for that, you can always just bend your elbows. Also, this feels more comfortable for the shoulders. So we're looking down. And then on a nice deep inhale, we're going to lift our arms and our legs up off the ground like we're trying to stick them to the ceiling. And then lower down. And if this bothers your low back, you can do just legs or just arms. And again, press the ground away. Inhale, lift up, pushing through your hips, lengthening out through your toes. And then release down. One more time, press the ground away, lift up. And then lower down. Draw the hands underneath the shoulders. Draw the legs a little bit closer together. Push the ground away, coming up through your modified plank or full plank, and then you can go into child's pose or downward facing dog. Holding here. Reconnecting with your breath, reconnecting with your intention. Maybe checking in and noticing how this position might feel different than the first time you did it in class or the beginning of class. On an inhale, lifting your left leg up towards the ceiling, finding a three-legged dog. Draw your knee in towards your nose. Step the foot between the hands. Good. So we're in our lunge again. We're going to straighten out through this front leg, walk our hands back a little bit, finding our hamstring stretch on this side. So you might need to adjust your right knee back so it's underneath your hip. First time, folding forward, trying to keep your spine as flat as possible. And you can point and flex through the foot or whatever feels good. Thinking about closing the space between the front of your torso and your thigh. And our hamstrings, in most people, the hamstrings are both tight and weak. Most of us tend to be quad dominant and use our quads for things that really aren't even their job. Good. Now we're going to walk it up a little bit. And instead of thinking of closing the space, we're trying to make more space. So really find that arched cat, or that it's really you're rounding through your back, cat position. And then you can start to point and flex through the foot, thinking about trying to hold this hip back as you reach forward and pull back. And then we'll start to turn the leg out and in. So turning out to the side and in towards the center. Making sure that you're still breathing, especially when it gets to be maybe a little bit intense. And then let's come back to center. Bend through that left knee, readjust your leg position so we're in this lunge, walking both hands to the inside of the foot, pressing into your palms or bringing your forearms down to the mat if your body allows. And you really want to think about reaching your knees out and away from each other, making more space out from the hip, finding a stretch through the inner thighs. We'll start to add the twist here if you'd like, so you can be on your palm or you can be on your forearm. Reaching the left arm up and around, and just starting with this little twist here, turning to look towards your fingers, and then maybe bending through the back knee, reaching the foot for the hand. And if they don't connect, it's not the end of the world, and one side might be different than the other. There are days when my hand and my foot don't connect. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. Fully inhale. Fully exhale. One more time. And then release the leg down with control. We'll take one hand on either side of the foot. We're going to be stepping to the front of the mat. Tuck the back toes under. Lift up and step to the front. Good. Let's bend into the knees, round through the back, and then slowly articulate up one vertebra at a time. Once you get to the top, inhale, reach your arms around and up, palms touch, and draw down to the center of the chest, hopefully feeling more equal and balanced between the two sides of the body. Okay, on an inhale, we're going to reach up nice and tall. And then let's walk our feet out. We'll keep our hands overhead. We're going to interlace them and find that Kali Mudra. We're going to walk our feet out a little bit wider, have your heels in, toes out. And then bend your knees, bend your elbows, kind of sit down like into a half yogi squat. Think maybe knees to elbows. And then push the ground away, lift yourself back up. And then lower down. And push, lift back up. 2 more, lower. Thinking about engaging your glutes because that's the area that we're going to be stretching. And then hold this next one down here. So you can stay with the knees above the elbows above the knees. If your body allows, you can lower all the way down and maybe releasing that to come into a prayer hand position. Okay, let's take our left hand down, reach your right arm up, finding some rotation here. And if this feels good, you can turn your thumb down towards the floor and then maybe take your hand into your back pocket. So I'll turn around so you can see what that looks like. With your hand in your back pocket, you want to wrap around the outside of the knee and then have your palm facing, or wait, I think I'm doing the wrong hand. You want to wrap around your back, and then you can take your other hand and try to bind, clasping fingers, and you're wrapped around your knee, and you get just a little bit of decompression through the wrists and a little bit more opening through the shoulders. If you can't quite reach, you can still have your hands reaching behind you. And take one more deep breath. And then slowly unfold, reach the hands back down and together, lengthen through your spine, and let's go to the other side. Right hand down, left arm reaches up. Maybe turn the thumb down, bring the hand into the back pocket, maybe reach around the knee and try to find that clasp for the bind. One more deep breath. And slowly unfold here. Bring the palms back together. And then we'll reach our hands down and we'll have a seat here at the front of our mat. Let's bring the soles of the feet together, knees out to the side, and the amount of space between your heels and your hips is up to you. For some people, they find it easier if the heels are further away. Generally, the closer your heels are towards your hips, the more you're going to feel this through your inner thighs. We'll inhale to sit up nice and tall, and then exhale to fold forward over your legs. Really let your head relax. Let the weight of your body sink down. Start to walk the hands back in towards the feet, sitting up tall. Take your left leg and just extend it straight out to the side, so it's going at this diagonal, and you can pull your right heel in a little bit more if there's space. Trying to press this knee down to the ground. Mine doesn't, there's still a little bit of lift there, but if yours can go down, try and find that grounding. Then we're going to take our left hand down, reach the right arm up and over, trying to spiral here and look underneath your arm, reaching out through the top arm. So don't think about reaching down to try and touch the foot. Just think length, trying to touch the opposite wall. And then on your inhale, lifting up, bringing that right hand down by the hip and just lifting your left arm up. Or if your body allows, you can push down and open through the front side of the body. Good. And then slowly lower down, and we're going to go over the leg again. Left hand down, right arm up and over. Find the lengthening, the stretch, the reach through your lats, through the side of the body. And then inhale, lift up, push down into that arm. Reach up, pressing the hips up if you like, finding a stretch through the front of the body. And then slowly lower down. This time we're going to pivot, so we turn, trying to square our center of our chest over the leg as best you can, and then walk your hands out. So you can be grabbing the calf. If your hands reach and you can grab the foot, maybe try and reach beyond the foot. So take your left hand and grab the right wrist if possible. And you want to think about reaching the crown of your head, not just to your foot, but beyond your foot. And then on an inhale, we'll lift up nice and tall. And switch the legs. Left heel comes in, right leg goes out to the diagonal. trying to press through your sit bones and press the knee down. Right hand is down, left arm reaches up and over, lengthening out through that side body. And we're going to hold the first one just a little bit longer to really get that length, to really press down through the left hip. And then inhale, reach up, plant the hand down outside of the hip, reach your right arm up towards the ceiling, or maybe push down and lift the hips up as well. And then let's lower back down, going over the leg, right hand down, left arm up and over, breathe. Inhale up through center, hand down outside of hip, push down, lift up, reach the right arm up. And then let's lower down. This time we're going to turn our body, square your chest over your leg, walk the hands out. So you're trying to reach wherever you can today, and then think of lengthening a little bit more. So you can reach your foot, try and reach beyond the foot and try and clasp your wrist, and then fold forward and down, thinking of reaching the crown of your head beyond the length of your foot. We'll slowly release, walk the hands back in towards the hips here. Let's lengthen both legs out to the side. So similar to how we started, maybe you find that there's a little bit more room for you to open your legs out to the side or straighten them a little bit more. You want to make sure you can sit up nice and tall. Our abdominal support is really important here, and then start to just walk your hands out to whatever level, wherever you feel the resistance and the stopping point. So once you feel your body resisting you going further, that's where you hang out and breathe. And I see a lot of times people, it's really tempting to kind of like, you're like, oh, I can just pull a little bit further and bounce in the stretch. That's actually how most muscle tears happen. So try to just hold and let go. There's really, I mean, if you think about it, it's not like it makes you a better person if your chest can touch the ground in this position. And slowly starting to walk your hands back in and up. We'll soften into the knees, start to sweep the legs to the front edge of your mat and make sure there's some space behind you. So I have two options here. You can lengthen the legs out. If you have tight low back, tight hamstrings, I would bend the knees. And then we're going to reach our arms out and away from us, and then nod your chin to your chest and slowly articulate down. So really go nice and slow, and sometimes this can like realign your spine or help give you a nice little adjustment, but only if you go nice and slow all the way down to the mat. Okay, well, bend our knees in and the soles of the feet are down on the floor. We're going to be going into bridge pose, so try and resist the urge to turn your head from side to side because that's not very great for your spine. We're going to press our hands down. Deep breath in, exhale, lift the hips up, opening through the front side of the body, press down through the shoulders, press evenly through the feet, and then slowly articulate down. So again, trying to go slow enough that maybe it can realign your spine and help adjust it back into place. Okay, and deep breath in at the bottom, press down, tilt the tailbone under, and lift up. We'll slowly lower down, really rounding through your back. This time we're going to press up and hold it here. So articulate up one vertebra at a time. So we have options here. You can bring the hands, interlace them, and walk the shoulders a little bit closer together, opening up more through the chest. If you want to focus more on stability, you can reach your hands up towards the ceiling and drive your shoulder blades down. Finding your breath. And really notice your body. Your knees are going to want to go out to the side because that makes it easier. Try and press through the center. Think press down through your big toe. Slowly release wherever your hands were, and let's draw the spine down. We'll walk the feet out a little bit wider. Let the knees drop to one side. Hold it here. Take 2 deep breaths. Arms can go out to a T or to cactus arms. Inhale through center and let the knees drop over to the other side. Hold for 2 breaths. Then we'll come back to center, hugging the right knee in towards the chest, reaching the left leg out long. Try and pull the shoulders down the back, lengthen out through the neck, and then straighten out through your right leg, either grabbing behind the hamstring, the calf, or towards the foot, finding a stretch through the back of the leg, making sure that your low back is long. So a lot of times, again, we need to let go of our ego a little bit, and we want to like pull our leg in really close to our face because it makes us feel better about ourselves for some weird reason. Just trying to let go and see your body as what it is without wanting to make it able to do something else. Just kind of enjoying the journey. Let's take our right leg and we're going to either with your bent knee, with your straight leg, take it across the body to the left side. Right arm reaches out. Your right hip lifts up and kind of stacks over the left. You're looking towards your right hand, trying to release the shoulders down as best you can. And you should feel the stretch through the outside of the leg, through the IT band area. And this is kind of also along the pathway of the sciatic nerve, so it's probably similar to where you felt that stretch earlier. On your inhale, come back to center. Ooh. We'll float the right leg down towards the floor. And then draw the left knee in towards the chest, shoulders down the back. Really hug the knee in. And then we'll start to find our stretch here through the hamstrings, grabbing behind the leg, the calf, or towards your foot or your big toe. Let's take it across the body. Reach your right hand to the outside of the knee or the thigh. Take the left leg over to the right. Left arm reaches out to the side. Turn your head to look towards your hand, your left hand. And then find your breath here. And so normally I say it doesn't matter which side you do first for most of the poses, but with these twists, you usually do the right leg first and then the left because it helps with our digestive system very subtly, and like the subtle energy of the body helping to like move everything through the system. Also, this gentle movement helps with some circulation and the blood flow with the lymphatic system, or like the lymph. Okay, on an inhale, let's come back to center here. You can hug both knees into your chest, rock a little bit from side to side. If you feel there are any remaining stretches or poses or ways that you need to move, you can go ahead and move in that way. And then when you're ready, meeting in corpse pose, arms and legs extended out. And trying to let go of anything that you were holding on to in your mind, in your body. Even letting go of the breath here, allowing it to become very shallow. Maybe feeling like a floating sensation, like you're just kind of hanging out in the in-between, like not really asleep, but not really awake. Slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Deepen your breath. A nice deep inhale, you can reach your arms long overhead, stretching out from the fingers to the toes. Hugging the knees in towards the chest, starting to rock a little bit from side to side. And then rolling over onto one side, allowing your head to rest on the side of your arm. And gently helping yourself up to a comfortable seated position. We'll draw the hands together at the center of the chest. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste.